Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitam Astu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, welcome you all to the next session on the Indic knowledge landscape and overview. Till now, we have covered topics like Vedas, 4 Vedas, then 6 Vedangas, and some of the topics in the Upangas like Nyaya Vistaraha, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga. So many topics we have covered, and we are almost at the end of our these sessions. And today we are going to take up Mimamsa. Here, if you look at Mimamsa, PURVAMIMAMSA and UTTARAMIMAMSA, together they are called Mimamsa. Here, PURVAMIMAMSA it belongs to the Karma Kanda. That is, as we have seen how Vedas are divided into 4 parts: Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishad. Here, Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka together they are they are called Trivarga, and PURVAMIMAMSA belongs to this. And Uttaramimamsa, which is more on inquiry, that is Jnana Kanda. It is also known as Vedanta. Then the term Vedanta means the end of the Vedas, and Upanishads, as they form the last part of the Vedas, they are discussed in Uttaramimamsa. When the Jaimini's Purvamimamsa is taken up, here he gives a lot of importance to the duties like dharma enjoined by the Vedas. And what is Mimamsa? How do we arrive at Mimamsa? That is, there are so many dhatus associated with it. Mana Vichare is one dhatu. Then Ma Mane is another dhatu. Mang Mane Shabdecha is another dhatu. Man is to know. Mimamsa, desire to know. There is one Sannanta Prayoga. Kartumicha Chikirsha. If you want to do something, that desire to do something is Chikirsha. Same way, Miyate, you want to do inquiry, deep reflection into a thought, to measure something, to weigh, to limit, or to compare, to critically inquire something. That is Mimamsa. And Purvamimamsa means it is an essential inquiry into the nature of Dharma. Dharma is duty, morality, virtue, and all those things. And this Purvamimamsa answers the ethical and moral questions from the Vedic viewpoint. And the sutras represented in Purvamimamsa consist of 12 chapters, adhyayas, which are divided into 60 padas or sections. And there are a lot many topics. They are known as adhikaranas, And Purvamimamsa is the biggest of the philosophic sutras. And we have an excellent bhashya commentary by Shabaraswami on Purvamimamsa known as Shabara Bhashya. Subsequent to Shabara Bhashya, there were three gurus actually. One was Murari, another one was Kumarila Bhatta, the third one was Prabhakara Mishra. But Murari's works didn't get this kind of popularity, but Kumarila Bhatta and Prabhakara Mishra, they developed their own schools of thought. Actually, Kumarila Bhatta's disciple, this Prabhakara Mishra was Kumarila Bhatta's disciple, and he has written Vartikas on this Purvamimamsa. They are known as Shloka Vartika, Tantra Vartika, Tuptika. They deal with the fundamentals of Dharma, then arguments against the Buddhists in defense of the Vedas, then how Vaidika Dharma as a relationship between mantra, deity, yajna is and how a particular Vedic rite should be performed. All these things are discussed. And Prabhakara, he wrote Brihati Grantha. Then, in all, if you look at this table, here chapters, 12 chapters are there, and each chapter having so many adhikaranas and padas, and third, sixth, and 10th chapters have 8 padas. All the remaining chapters have 4 padas, but only third, sixth, and 10th adhyayas have 8 padas. So totally around 2745 sutras, 907 adhikaranas, and 60 padas. Then what is the nature of Purvamimamsa? What is it doing? It has aimed at the nature of dharma. It has tried to examine the nature of dharma. What happened as society started degrading? The time there were Vedic scholars became scarce, and people started not to believe in the Vedas. At that time, Jaimini Maharshi came and tried to bring in the importance of the Vedic rituals, and he has done a tremendous job in this process. All philosophical views are imparted in this. Veda is acknowledged as authoritative, and its validity is established against the Buddhists who disputed it. And then the influence of this Purvamimamsa on the Hindu way of living is very high. And the first sutra, Athato Dharma Jignasa, that itself, see, this topic of dharma we have seen in Vaisheshika also. Atha Dharmam Vyakhyasiyamaha. Same way, here also, there must be an inquiry into the nature of duty. And there is a Purva Paksha, somebody, some opponent is asking, should a person learn only the Vedic mantras or should he learn the meaning also of the mantras? So he says the attainment, the importance is for understanding the meaning also. So, learning the Vedas leads to attainment of heaven cannot be accepted, uh, is the theory of Kumarila Bhatta. He says both the mantras and their meaning should be understood by the learner, by the practitioner. Then Chodana Lakshanaha Artha Dharmaha. So dharma or duty is that which being desirable is indicated or taught by the Vedic injunction. So Jaimini Rishi, to prove his point, he accepts three pramanas, that is Pratyaksha, then Anumana, and then Shabda. Later on, Prabhakara accepted Upamana and Arthapati as pramanas along with Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shabda. Kumarila Bhatta added Anupalabdhi. And all the other pramanas are rejected, they are not accepted here. And then when we look at Pratyaksha, here Pratyaksha is direct perception. Sakshat pratitihi. It proceeds directly from the self content. So what happens? It is the immediate knowledge that arises from the contact of the senses with a real object through the mediation of the mind. So this involves two steps. First one is there is a general awareness, nirvikalpaka jnana. Actual details of the object is not captured. Then savikalpaka jnana, where the object is grasped in its totality. Like I see a tree, the tree is full of ripened mangoes. So when I look at the object, first I notice that there is a tree. Then all these things will appear. The beautiful leaves, green leaves of the tree, the ripened fruits, and the tree in its full capacity. All these details would be observed. This is Savikalpaka Jnana. Then there is this mental perception, that is Manasa Pratyaksha. The experiences we have, like pleasure, pain, and etc., such things. Only a couple of days ago, in my dream, I saw so many dinosaurs. I don't know why. Entire day I had not thought about dinosaurs. I have not watched. Of course, I like that. Uh, what is that? That movie, Jurassic Park. First part, I like it very much, but still, I have not watched it since a long time. But still, there were so many dinosaurs, and my sleep was disturbed, and such um, pleasure or fear or pain or whatever we feel in our dream, they are it is possible because already we have had some experience with such objects. Unless we have seen something before earlier, that is not that cannot come in our dream. And dream,
May I interrupt you, ma'am?
yes,
Okay. See, I have one point to make on these dreams,
uh,
and I also want to understand on the broad, high-level design of
uh,
Purvamimamsa from a
uh,
layman point of view. Like
mm,
we have gone into fair amount of details, including Pramanas, which is
uh,
also part of Purvamimamsa, as I can make out. So
mm,
my query on this is, if I may ask you, uh, Purvamimamsa from, let's say, from my point of view, what exactly is written is practical. So is dharma, is duty. I
uh,
understand those terms, but now how do I understand if I follow Purvamimamsa, what
uh.
should I do in my life?
Yes, yes. Yes, we will come to that.
Okay,
Actually, these pramanas they accept, and dreams are possible only when the self is in contact with the manas. Otherwise, dreams won't appear. So,
yeah,
huh,
dreams are part of the subconscious mind,
yes,
which is built over right from childhood.
ah,
So irrespective of what age did you got into this and saw these, they can come at any time because they are the subconscious mind
yes,
all the time of everybody, which has been built as a memory from a child as a child.
yes,
So dreams have their own theory and interpretation. But my point on Pur Mimamsa was like, as a layman,
mm,
firstly, how do I complement this as a something to be understood? And secondly, Pramanas we read earlier also.
mm.
Are these any different? I don't find it different.
Yes, yes. There is a little difference between what we have studied earlier, and some of the ideas are new to this system. Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you.
then Kumarila Bhatta says the in deep sleep, self regains its form of pure consciousness. There is no dream possible in that state. So this is the difference between these two, Prabhakaras and Kumarila Bhatta's systems. Okay. Then when we go to Anumana Pramana, here what happens, this Shabaraswami, what he says is there are two kinds of inferences. One is Pratyakshato Drishta, another one is Samanyato Drishta. See, Pratyakshata Drishta is, we have already discussed this. Actually, a person in India, most of the villages, they cook in food in firewood, using firewood. So one person, he might have seen a lot of smoke along with the fire, and when he goes out to some hilly area, there he suddenly sees smoke coming from the backside of the mountain, and he thinks, "Oh, Parvataha Manhiman Dhumat." He decides, "Okay, because I have seen in the kitchen earlier, so it is always this fire is along with smoke only." One should note that fire is not always accompanied by smoke unless the fuel is wet. Okay, that clarity is brought out in Nyaya, Vaisheshika, all the places, and here also they discuss about it. Then the Samanyato Drishta, there what happens? This sun's motion is there, sun keeps moving, and his sun's position is changing during the day, and all these cannot be perceived directly. Then, according to both Kumarila Bhatta and Prabhakara, inference has only three members, that is Pratignya, Hetu, and Drishtanta. Pratignya is the statement of the case, and then Hetu is the reason, Drishtanta is the example. Then he also talks about Drishta Swalakshana and Adrishta Swalakshana. That is, things which fall within the limits of perception. And Adrishta Swalakshana is matters which are super sensuous. Then when we go to Shabda Pramana, and here we must understand that Kumarila Bhatta, he never accepted the presence of God. He never recognized God as an entity. He considers Veda as the way to reach heaven. Then, according to him, knowledge, the validity of Vedas is inherent in it. And the verbal testimony is of two types again, Paurusheya and Apaurusheya. Then Vedic statements are grouped into Vidhi, Mantra, Namadheya, Nishedha, and Arthavada. Vidhi is rules, Prabhu Samhita, commands. Then Namadheya is there are names Agnishtoma, Vajasaneya, then Ashwamedha, all these names are given to different yajnas. Then Nishedha, there are prohibitions. One should not indulge in certain things and all those things. And there are explanatory passages, Arthavada. Then he also uh, um, Jaimini also talks about the Shabda Pramana as the Vedas are eternal, and he says that the word, there is such a relationship between the word and its meaning that itself is sufficient to achieve the goal. And here, it is concerned essentially with supersensuous matters. That is what is discussed in Purvamimamsa. Then there is Upamana as a pramana. Here, what happens? A man who has never seen a Gavaya. Gavaya is a species of ox, you can say. And some people have considered it as a Nilgai, which is seen in around Rajasthan, I think. Gujarat, Rajasthan, those areas that Nilgai is seen. So maybe it is also considered as Gavaya. And this person who has not seen it, some a person coming from the forest, he will say, I saw a Gavaya there. And he asks, how do you, how does it look like? So he will say, it looks like a cow. So this person, when he goes to the forest from the town, he sees that Gavaya, and he is able to recognize that, oh, this is the same animal that I saw in the town as a cow. So this is the Gavaya. But when we look at Udayanacharya, who belongs to Nyaya school of thought, he says cognition of Gavaya is pure perception. The conclusion that the animal seen is inference, and particular instance of verbal testimony, uh, it doesn't need another pramana. So people like Udayanacharya reject upamana as a pramana. But Purvamimamsa holds sadrishya, that is upamana, an important element in understanding the objects. So it is considered as a separate pramana. And both Kumarila Bhatta accept this. Then when we look at Arthapati, Arthapati is Pinaha Devadattaha Divana Bhute Ratro Bhunjanesati. So there is a person Devadatta. He is quite hefty, well built, and nobody sees him eating during the day. So there is a natural understanding that he must be eating during the nights. So this Arthapati is again divided into Drishta and Shruta. If we know that a man who is alive, he is not in his house. So if we assume that he has gone out. But what happens? Both Prabhakara and Kumarila, they do not come have an agreement with respect to Arthapati. Kumarila Bhatta feels presumption is impossible if the original fact were in doubt. So we don't know that person who has gone out of the house, whether he is alive or not. So he says the original fact itself is in doubt. So it cannot be accepted. Then next pramana is Anupalabdhi. Here Kumarila Bhatta admits non-apprehension, that is absence of anything. Like there is a vase on the table. What happens? An object to be recognized in Mimamsa Shastra, an object requires a present contact with the organs of sense to be recognized. So, what happens when that absence of the vase cannot be accepted as a separate pramana? But Prabhakara, along with Nyaya and Vaisheshika, he accepts that absence of vase on the table is nothing to be concerned about. Seeing the table is mere perception, right? What is absent from there, seen earlier, which was seen earlier, that vase was seen earlier. Now it is not there. There is abhava there. Anupalabdhi. It's a qualification of what is perceived. So, Anupalabdhi that way is accepted as a pramana by Kumarila Bhatta, Prabhakara, and it is not accepted by Kumarila Bhatta. And the most important point to consider on the practical side of the teachings of Purvamimamsa is the conception of dharma. The term dharma stands for Vedic rites or duties of a religious kind. Of course, ethical conduct is not excluded. Moral purity is taken to be a necessary condition for a fruitful practicing of ritual. The Vedas, as such, will not cleanse the morally impure people. So, stress on dharma leads one to conduct himself in a pious way. That is the main concept of Purvamimamsa. There are 5 Mahayajnas prescribed. And a person who practices these Pancha Mahayajnas every day, he stands for the practice of such important virtues as hospitality towards his guests, taking care of the elderly at home, and being considerate towards the people or uh, living beings around, and so many good qualities one would develop. And these acts give rise to some unseen effect or invisible energy to the practitioner. This is known as apurva. Then the two thinkers, Kumarila Bhatta and Prabhakara, agree in holding that it is the Veda and the Veda alone which determines what dharma is. They differ in the view they take of its exact nature. As we know, there are Nitya karmas and Kamya karmas. Nitya karmas are obligatory rites which we need to perform every day. Kamya karmas are rites performed with some self interest. And according to Kumarila, Vedas have the question of choosing man's goals to himself. Vedas don't force anybody to set the goal, and one is free to choose his path. A lamp we carry in our hand while walking in the dark shows the character of the ground we are walking on. We have to decide whether that path needs to be taken or we should avoid that path. That decision is left to us. While Prabhakara says uh, dharma should be pursued for its own sake. According to him, dharma is an intrinsic value and not merely an instrumental one. Thus, they both differ in this idea. The ultimate ideal of life, according to Purvamimamsa, should be to reach heaven. Then, emphasis is on karma rather than jnana. The consequence is rejection of sannyasa. They reject sannyasa as one is asked only to follow the karma rituals and confining oneself to the rituals. One is confined to rituals. These are the main points in Purvamimamsa. Concept of God supervising the merits and demerits of men is not accepted in Purvamimamsa. God cannot be considered like a carpenter. People say, no, God, when we go through so many problems in our lives, we think God is working like a carpenter, chiseling and carving out a beautiful uh, um, object out of us. But that kind of concept is not accepted in Purvamimamsa. The only supervision that can be known in Purvamimamsa is that exercised by the soul over the body. In fact, Kumarila Bhatta ridicules the idea of the existence of Prajapati. Then Kumarila says,
Excuse me,
ha,
ma'am.
yes,
Can we kindly go back to the previous slide?
yes,
Okay. See, the point number 3 and the
uh,
last point are
uh,
very interesting.
uh,
And to me, these are probably quite close to what is mentioned in Mandukya Upanishads
uh,
in 3, 4 this verses. where it talks about the four states of consciousness. And
mm,
you mentioned that a while ago
mm.
about the dream state and deep sleep
Yes.
state. And the last one is Turiya, as we all know.
Uh,
So, are these points that I'm seeing, because they are quite close to Atma being different than the body, which we all know,
yes.
and the consciousness, which
Mm.
is probably Turiya state,
Uh,
where you need to achieve that
uh,
to identify yourself as who you are.
uh,
So, are these taken in a sense? Because I also read about Upanishads in the last point, third
uh,
sentence,
uh,
third line. So,
uh.
are these points and the earlier one you made about deep sleep and all, are these probably taken from the Upanishads? Because it says Purvamimamsa, or are they correlating with each other?
No, no. What the last sentence, last point you are talking about, right?
Yes.
According to Kumarila, soul is different from the body. That's what I told you just now.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
This Atman is consciousness itself. Huh?
Yes. Yeah.
There are souls, many souls are there. Souls are of the nature of consciousness. And the Upanishads also speak. No, no. Here, what happens is when we go to Advaita philosophy, there what happens? So all the souls are one. That's what is.
No, this is fine. This is
Huh,
understood. I was
hmm.
just trying to query you whether this is all linked to the Mandukya Upanishad's explanation of the four states, because it talks about Upanishad, though it doesn't per se mention Mandukya Upanishads. In the last point, it talks about that.
No. It may be because actually this Purvamimamsa, they don't uh, uh, consider this Upanishad as important. No.
I see.
They only believe in Karma Kanda, first three Samhita, Brahmana, and Aranyaka. So they don't
Even the
talk about.
last, I'm sorry, the
Yes.
last sentence also I'm not clear. Existence of the soul is inferred through the notion of I. In fact, what I understand, I may be wrong, is to arrive at your consciousness, the
Uh,
I needs to be thrown out of your mind.
yes.
So
See,
how is it to be?
that is possible when the existence of the soul is inferred through the notion of I. That is, say, the difference is, let us read this again. The soul is different from the body, right?
Right, absolutely.
Atman is consciousness itself,
Absolutely.
though souls are many. Since all souls are of the nature of consciousness,
Correct.
Upanishads speak of them as one.
So here he is highlighting Upanishads, no? So,
But no, no, there is a difference. The Mimamsakas adopt the theory of plurality of selves to account for the
oh,
varieties of experiences.
oh.
So the difference is shown here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Then Mimamsaka theory of perception assumes the reality of objects for perception arises only when there is contact with real objects. Hmm? Then Kumarila Bhatta, what he says, he divides all categories into bhava and abhava, all padarthas. The latter are of four kinds. Abhava is pragabhava. Uh, uh, these four we have already discussed in Tarka Nyaya Sutras. And the positive categories are of four kinds again. Substance, quality. This is Dravya, Guna, Karma, and uh, Dravya, Guna, Karma, generally, Samanya. Hmm? And Sadrishya, this has been discussed. And then inherence is not for Kumarila something distinct from the things themselves in which it exists. Okay. Then Chodana, they talk about Chodana. Uh, this thing is required. Some Chodana injunction, like Chodana tu kriyam prati pravartakam vachaha. So some injunction is required to perform some duty. That is what is mentioned here. And then ethics, dharma takes the top most, utmost importance in Purvamimamsa. Then happiness in the hereafter is the goal recognized by Purvamimamsa. That is, hereafter means it is only Swarga. They don't go beyond Swarga. Okay. So that is why they say there is the system, when we look at the Vedanta and all those things, this system appears to be somewhat unsatisfactory. It is incomplete. That is what the Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan says actually. Because one is not able to go beyond these rituals, and people are tied up to rituals, and they don't believe in God and all those things. So, and here are some sutras just to show how it is. Tritiya Adhyaya, Saptama Adhikaranam, 19th Sutra. So, what it says, Linga Krama Samakhyanat Kamyayuktam Samamnanam. So, what it says is, on account of the cumulative forces of indicative power, order of sequence, and name, the reciting should be done in connection with the Kamya sacrifices only. That is what it means. Then next one more sutra is there. Aindragnetu linga bhavat syat. In the case of the offering to Indra Agni, the mantras should be used as there is in the mantra a word which is a word with the necessary indicative force. Chamaseshu samakhyanat sanyogasya tannimitatva. So here what happens, at the Jyotishtoma Yajna, there are 10 cups, 10 small bowls, you can say, are distributed to each of the Hotra, Brahmana, Advaryu, whoever is there. And there is a Purva Paksha. They are saying they cannot have that whatever is remaining in the as prasada. But the sutra says each of the priests should consume the remnants of the offerings. So these sutras, it is quite difficult to understand them, and one needs a lot of time and patience to go through the sutras. And here are the references which we have taken from the all the points from these texts which are available online. So when you get time, you people can definitely go through them. And there's a definitely a difficult subject to understand, as there is an incompleteness in this. And now over to Sundaresh Mahodaya.
Okay, Bhagini. Thank you. First, I have actually posted my PDF a while back. So if you all can please go back and just open the PDF, I will go through it, and I will talk through the points that I have mentioned.
You can share, Mahodaya, here.
Let me see. I'm from my mobile. Just a second. I will.
It's better if you share and explain.
Okay. For some reason, my network is a little bit low. Just a second, please bear with me.
Can anybody else share if you are having problem?
Just a second. I don't know what happened to my network. Suddenly it's choking.
Chaitra Mahodaya, can you share?
Now
I need to email it to. Actually, I am using my laptop. So, shall I do that, Sundaresh Mahodaya?
just 1 second. Give me a second. I'll just take it back.
Because it's okay. I'll just check.
And I'll share. Right. Files.
Shivani would like to share if it is okay for you.
Yeah, that should be fine. If anybody can share quickly, that's great.
Shivani, try.
I will. Is it visible?
I'm not. Now it's coming up. Yes, it's there. Can everybody see it?
Yes, everybody can see.
Vaisheshika Darshanam, it says. I'm seeing a different document.
No, it is showing Yoga Darshana. It is showing Yoga Darshana only.
Yeah, even I can see Yoga Darshana.
Oh, is it?
Yoga Darshana, Sundaresh Iyer, it is showing.
Just a second. Let me see. I don't know what's going on here. Let me come back to Zoom. Now it's come back up. Yes.
Would you like to have a remote control, or do you want me to control it? You can tell me. I can move the screen.
I just want to be able to just scroll through it with my finger.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I have given the access.
How come it's not going up? It's not scrolling up or down.
It is waiting for you to control. I think I have sent a request. You have to accept it.
I see. How do you accept it? Reactions. I have to press in reactions. No, it says, how do I accept it?
On your screen, on the Zoom, you might have got a message. Let me send it again.
Yeah, I tapped. It says tap here to control Shibani's remote screen.
Yes.
No.
Yes, now you're controlling. Just a moment. Yeah.
I'm not able to scroll through.
No, you will be.
Can I do it? How? But I'm using my fingers. I'm not able to scroll through the document.
Okay. So shall I do for you?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay. You can go up a little bit. Yeah. So I'll just give a brief introduction on the yoga philosophy. In the introduction section, I've got a few bullet items. The first one, I know we know most of the details about the yoga, but I've tried to summarize as best as I could with whatever I have understood through the lectures and things like that. Yoga Darshana, yoga system, is one of the 6 systems of the Indian philosophy that most of us very well are aware of. Actually, yoga was already there. It was Patanjali sage Patanjali, who actually put together in the form of a philosophical treatise, and then he propagated the yoga philosophy. The word yoga takes its origin from the Sanskrit root called yuj, that is to yuj means to come a yuj samadho, and the question is what do we consider this as union? It is a union between the Jivatma and the Paramatman. That is, it's the union of the microcosm with the macrocosm, if you will. That is the union, and that is called as yoga. And yoga is also an epithet of constancy and stability of being steadfast. Okay, yuj samadho. That's another yuj samadho. We did that. Yujir yoga. That means when we actually have the union between the Jivatma and Paramatma, then we have reached a state where we are one with the Paramatma, and then being steadfast. That's another interpretation of that. And then a few other points that I have actually not completely have not mentioned in the slide here in the document, but I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on that. We talked about the union between the Jivatma and Paramatma. Actually, yoga is a system. It's a system of perfecting the human efficiency. That's one of the main, what should I say, main postulates or the highlights of the system of this philosophy is to perfect the human efficiency. And the reason for that is to achieve moksha, that is to become one with the macrocosm. And the art of yoga is a system. The art of yoga is also a system of perfecting human efficiency. It actually, what it means is destroying the bodily shortcomings. You'll be destroying the bodily shortcomings such as diseases and instability and etc. And then through that process of destruction of the deficiencies, the inefficiencies and whatnot of the body, it will help to establish health as well as bestow happiness. And the reason why good health is required is to go through the process of understanding the self, and also becoming understanding the self to such an extent that we finally realize that we are not different from the Paramatma. That is the union. The yuj part of it is to become one with the Paramatma. So yoga actually helps in perfecting the human deficiencies. It's a very nice, powerful statement, and thereby bestow happiness also, and happiness, and develop the intelligence, and then develop the intelligence and the knowledge of self, and extract the nectar of all things. It is only through that process that we will be able to attain the purity of mind, body, and soul, which actually helps us in getting to that final state of being one with the Paramatma. So that is, so it's a system of perfecting the. That's why they call it as the system of perfecting the human deficiencies. The philosophical basis of yoga, the philosophical basis of yoga philosophy is Sankhya. I think we have discussed Sankhya quite a bit. The ancient rishis actually have extended the laws that govern the evolution of the universe. That is very nicely, heavily elaborated in the Sankhya philosophy to cover the evolution of the individual also. So that is why Sankhya is actually considered as the base of yoga philosophy, because the laws that are used, that the laws that explain the evolution of the universe in Sankhya are extended by yoga to the individual. So Sankhya deals with the universal evolution and whatnot, and yoga actually brings that to the individual level, and thereby it also establishes the fact that as an individual, the microcosm considered as an individual is nothing but part of the macrocosm, which is elaborately discussed in the Sankhya Yoga. And and that's why they say there is no knowledge that is equal to Sankhya, and at the same time there is no power that is equal to yoga. So it's the union of the knowledge and the power that actually brings us the union between the Jivatma and the Paramatma. So that is some of the high level, I would say, very eloquent description of what yoga is, yoga philosophy is. Now, the second aspect of that is when we say yoga is a philosophy, then naturally one of the questions that will come up is, what is the purpose of yoga? The main purpose of yoga is to eliminate 3 different types of pains that an individual goes through in order to gain the knowledge of self, a deep knowledge of self, where we actually realize that both Jivatman and Paramatman are the same, and Jivatman is part of the Paramatman. So, what are those 3 pains that yoga, tries to alleviate from an individual standpoint? It's the pain arising from the non-infirmities of the individual. Non-infirmities means so deficiencies that we have as an individual that we don't conform to as prescribed in our scriptures and the philosophy, basically in the Sankhya. There will be so many deficiencies. That's why I said in my previous sentence, yoga is a system to perfect the human deficiencies. So, and we have those deficiencies. Naturally, we will have many different pains. So, yoga is one of the purposes of yoga is to help the individual to eliminate those infirmities. And then the infirmities could be wrong understanding, having false knowledge, and having a lot of bodily suffering, diseases, and things like that. The second one is to alleviate the pain caused due to relationship with the external world. As an individual, we get pulled into this ocean of samsara, the external world, and relationships are part of it, and with other living beings in this universe. So during our transactions and whatnot with the living beings of the universe, we also naturally undergo through a lot of pain. And one of the purposes of yoga is to eliminate the pain because of this, because of interaction with the universe, because of the relationships with the external universe, and also the and also the 5 elements. We have the 5 growth elements, which are the cause of universe, and thereby the individual also. And to understand the interaction of the individual with these 5 elements, and the subtlety that is involved there. See, that is one of the other purposes of yoga, is to make the individual understand the subtle nature, which actually is the main thing that actually brings about the union between the Jivatman and the Paramatman. So these are the threefold purposes of yoga that helps the individual to understand that an individual and the macrocosm is nothing but a part of the, the individual microcosm is the part of the macrocosm. Actually, then the other aspect of yoga is, it helps in the non-attachment, developing, achieving the non-attachment to the world, but not necessarily being isolated from it. That's an important aspect. When we go through the yoga abhyasa, one of the many of this, I think I'll come to the postulates at the end of this description, where it helps us in developing the non-attachment, but not necessarily isolating ourselves from the world. Okay, that's another important achievement from the yoga. And secondly, by gaining, and how do we do that, is by gaining the restraint of the mind and body. By developing the habits of restraining our mind and its creations. And when we do that, then we will establish the purity of the mind, which helps us in understanding ourselves a lot more. And much closer to understanding that we are nothing but part of the Paramatma. So here the overarching goal is to understand ourselves through the various methods, processes, and procedures that are defined as part of this philosophy. So at each and every step, we have to establish that we are getting closer and closer to understanding ourselves. And one of the main ways of doing that is to have the purity of the body, the mind, and BMI complex, the body, mind, intellect. And finally, attaining positive and absolute union of the individual soul with the universal soul. This condition is known as samadhi. So yoga is as I said before, it's a system of all these things that actually finally ends up in allowing the individual to enter a state of samadhi, which is the ultimate state, or the moksha, they call it, where we come to know that we are part of the Paramatma. We will understand the subtle aspect of being an individual. And once we come to know the subtle aspect of the individual through the purity of the mind, body, and soul, then we will understand that we are nothing but part of the Jivatma. Okay, that is the main purpose of yoga. Now, the philosophy of yoga, as I said before, philosophy, basically based on Sankhya system. The only difference between the Sankhya postulates and is that, like I said, Sankhya system elaborates on the evolution of the universal consciousness, whereas in yoga philosophy, the same postulates are brought down to the individual level, so that we can understand that we are nothing but the one and the same with the Paramatma. So that is the difference between the Sankhya and yoga. So Sankhya is used as the base for the yoga system. Both Sankhya and yoga, they actually take their birth from the from the fundamental logical premise that something cannot come from nothing. Okay, something cannot come from nothing. Every shadow has a substance, and yoga system maintains that the gross individual must be the subtle aspect from which it manifests itself. And ultimately, once we realize our true nature, then we will go back to that one universal self, okay, to what that universal consciousness. So that is the philosophy of yoga. This subtle aspect is but a spark of divine and is the main topic of yoga. Realizing this spark, that we are nothing but part of the ultimate Paramatma, or the universal consciousness, is the main subject of yoga. And how we do that, I'll just take a quick walk through in that section called a deep dive. The fundamental base of yoga starts with that very first postulate, the aphorism, yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Yogaha chittaha vrittihi nirodha. That is, to control, different authors have different ways of explaining it. But the one that I like the most and what I am able to elaborate is controlling the undulations of the mind. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha, the controlling the thought processes, the thought circles, or the undulations of mind. That is the fundamental postulate on which the entire yoga is built upon. So at this point, I will say that the whole entire Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, there are a total of 195 sutras that are spread across 4 padas. The first pada is called the Samadhi pada, which actually describes. Let me go down a little bit, please. This thing. Can you scroll down a little bit? I will scroll up. Sorry, scroll up a little bit. Scroll up. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. just a little bit more, I think. Can you down a little bit? Right here in the highlight section. So there are a total of 195 aphorisms divided between 4 padas. The first pada is called the Samadhi pada, and it explains the yoga's swarupa and what are the goals and the characteristics of the mind control. Basically, what are the the characteristics of mind and how it should be controlled and things like that. Methods of mind control and the different ways that we can actually effectively control our mind. So that is the Samadhi pada. And Samadhi also, like I just mentioned a few minutes ago, it is Samadhi state is the state where we have reached the complete understanding that we are nothing but part of the universal consciousness. So the Samadhi pada here in Yoga Sutra, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra explains the different mechanisms that are used to get to that state. Okay, and the second pada is called the second pada is called the sadhana pada. Sadhana is once again accomplishment, how to put all these methods that are explained in the previous pada to use and how to practice. That is the sadhana, the sadhana, second one, sadhana pada. And vibhuti pada, actually the third pada, it explains internal structure with respect to the mind, body, and soul, benefits of the yoga practice that we actually that's are explained in the second pada. That is the vibhuti pada. And the last one is the kaivalya pada. The kaivalya pada is when we do 1, 2, and 3. Actually, when we practice all the postulates that are explained in 2 and 3, then we reach that state where we understand our own self, the subtlety of our soul, and also come to realization that we are Paramatman himself, and then one with the universal consciousness. So that is the structure, the overall structure of Yoga Sutras. So they are divided into 4 padas. There are a total of 195 aphorisms, and they are divided into Samadhi, Sadhana, Vibhuti, and Kaivalya padas. Now, let me go now. Then I will start with this Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That is the first aphorism of the first part. So, Chitta Vritti, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Nirodha means to annihilate or to completely eliminate the Chitta Vrittis, the thought process, the different thought circles. Okay, arresting the Chitta Vritti is called Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That means, in essence, the entire thing is given in this first postulate itself. So the yoga is nothing but arresting the thought processes that happens in our minds. And when we do that, we will reach into this samadhi state and things like that. And how it happens, we'll go through it. So yoga is a sadhana shastra. Sadhana shastra means we have to implement, we have to practice what is described in the shastra. There is no room for vada or vivada. It is the sadhana shastra. It is it articulates all the different steps of how to control our mind through various means and whatnot, and what are the different characteristics we have to develop and things like that. So there is actually no room for any vada or vivada, means any arguments or counter arguments, and pramana, padartha, and things like that. Pramana and padartha as used the Padartha Pramana Mimamsa, they say. Mimamsa is knowledge. There's no need to go into the definitions of a Padartha and Pramana and things like that, because it is a sadhana shastra. It is what should we it is non, so to speak, it's non controversial, or it doesn't lend itself into any counter arguments and things like that. This is the fundamental postulate, and then let us see what is this vritti. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So the main aspect is control of the thought circles, the undulations of the mind. So what do we mean by a vritti? So yoga is, like I said, it's a control of the annihilation of the vrittis. That is the thought circles. Now, in order to understand vritti, first we have to see what chitta is. Okay, chitta is manas. Chitta is it's a concept, and it has got three components. It's got manas, the mind, buddhi, the intellect, and ahankara, the ego. So this mind, intellect, and the ego complex is called chitta, and it is also called as antakarana. In the yoga philosophy, it's called as antakarana, and some of the people refer to that as an internal organ. The antakarana, they refer to that as internal organ. It is a rough translation, but I think antakarana is the right word to use with respect to yoga philosophy. So vritti, so chitta has got, so chitta is defined as the combination of these manas, buddhi, and ahankara. Then what is vritti? Vritti means it is the involvement in the external world, involvement in the external world through activities, and and it includes activities into involvement and emotions and excitement and whatnot. Okay, that is the vrittis. Vrittis are basically the thought processes that take place because of our involvement with the external world, and that is a vritti. To attain Atmajnana or moksha, then the bodily mind control annihilation is yoga darshan that we talked about. Chitta is uh, uh, chitta is a result of chitta is a result of the parimanavada. It's that's part of the Sankhya itself, and it's the one that gets us involved with the external world, getting involved with the daily activities, because it's a parinami. They call it as it's a nitya parinami. Because chitta is a nitya parinami means because it has got activities and it is completely engulfed in the day-to-day activities. Nitya parinami, okay, then we get attached to we get involved in the worldly activities, the chitta. Because of that, we get into the worldly activities. And the three characteristics of chitta, see, there are 5 kinds of chitta, but the 3 characteristics of chitta is prakhyata shila. One of the prakhyata shila means it actually has the ability to learn a lot of things, knowledge. Prakhyata Shila, Pravritti Shila, and Sthiti Shila. These are the 3 attributes of Chitta. And Pravritti Shila is progress, and Sthiti Shila is Moha, desire and attachment. So this Chitta, the Antakarana, when it actually interacts with the external world, it has got, because of these characteristics, we get attached to the world. And this Prakyati Shila is knowledge. Once one gain knowledge of the worldly things, then through improvisation of that knowledge, we get to know more and more things, and our desire grows, and we get attached to many worldly things. So Prakhyata Shila is a knowledge of the things which actually gives rise to thoughts. And then Pravritti Shila means then it's progressive. That means it improvises itself and gets to know more and more things. And then Sthiti Shila, which gives rise to the desires, the moha and the attachment. And that's why, and that's how we get deeply involved into this external world. So very nicely they have explained these 3 characteristics of the chitta. So with these 3 attributes of chitra, and there are 5 types of chittas that can happen. One is the kshipta. Kshipta is because, see, and the other aspect of this whole thing is, as an individual, we are endowed with these 3 aspects: the rajo guna, the sattva guna, and the tamas. Rajo, sattva, tamas. Okay, and because of these 3 underlying internal characteristics of the inbuilt characteristics of an individual who is living in the world, there are so many. Then the chitta which gets involved in this, there are so 5 different types of chitta that can happen, that have been defined. One is the kshipta. Kshipta is because of the rajoguna, then we get our mind is it's wavering. Okay, it is wavering and it's unstable, and it and outwardly, and it also gets involved with the the happiness, sorrow aspects of the samsara and things like that. And that type of chitta is the kshipta. Kshipta, it's called kshipta. And the next one is muda. Muda means wrong. Because of the tamas, tamo guna, we also have the power of discrimination, viveka or aviveka. Then we a lot of times we get we will not be able to discriminate between the right and wrong, and it is because of this tamo guna aspect of it, and also because of the arishad varga. Arishad Varga 6, as most of you already know about it. It's Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, and Matsarya. The Arishad Varga. This is the desire, anger, greed, ego, attachment, jealousy, and of course we also add the laziness. So it's Arishad Varga. So these are because of the Tamo Guna within an individual. So that is called the Muda. That's one kind of chitta. And the next one is Vikshipta. Vikshipta is because of the sattva, the excessiveness of the sattva, and where we we develop the desire, the kama part of it, to do a lot of things. So dukkha sadhana tyaga, they say. Because of this, we try to give up our sadhana to conquer the sorrow part of it. So we accept the happiness and we always want to be in the happiness, and therefore the objects that give us the happiness, we get attached to it. And there is vikshipta, and then the next one is the ekagra. Ekagra is a very important one. It is that kind of chitta where we will be able to develop single pointed concentration. Ekagra chitta is concentration, single pointed concentration. That is also one type of chitta. And this one pointed concentration is the state that we want to get to through the various practices of yoga, to then go and understand the abstract part of it, and then think about the self, and finally understand what the self is, the subtle nature of the self, and we become one with, and then we'll understand that we are one with the nature. And niruddha, that is another type of chitta. Niruddha means to restrain. That is the annihilation of sarvendriya samasta vritti. Sarvendriya samasta vritti means that we will be, that is one type of chitta where we will be able to arrest or annihilate the thought processes that comes from the many organs of our body. That's why it's called Sarvendriya Samasta Vritti. Sarvendriya Samasta Vritti Nirodha. Nirodha means to annihilate. So these are the five types of chitta that are defined: Kshipta, Muda, Vikshipta, Ekagra, and Niruddha. Okay, these first three, they don't help in samadhi, because the first three types of chitta, because they are more attached to the external world, and we get more and more deeply involved into it. And then basically the first three, that is the Kshipta, Muda, and Vikshipta, they define how our chitta is with respect to the external world. Now Ekagra and Niruddha are the ones that actually help us in attaining the moksha part of it. So these are the 5 types of chittas that we have. Now, vrittis are part of this mind. Vrittis are thought circles, I said. Just like the 5 types of chittas we have, we also have 5 types of vrittis, the thought processes. And what are they? The 5 types of vrittis are, first one is pramana, the proof or the evidence, which is based on the pratyaksha, anumana, and shabda, which we just now went through as part of the Mimamsa Shastra. It is a direct perception, the inference, and the verbal testimony. Those are the characteristics of this pramana.
Just a minute, Sundaresh Mahodaya, you have to wind up in 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay, I'll finish it.
It's already half an hour. Oh.
Okay, sorry, I'll finish it up. So vritti is, there are 5 types of vrittis: pramana and viparyaya. That is another type of vritti, which is basically false knowledge. And we develop a lot of false knowledge. It's because of this type of vritti, that is viparyaya. And then vikalpa. Vikalpa means a choice. That is, this is a state of vritti where we don't have really the verbal testimony. We don't have the knowledge of the verbal testimony, Shabda Jnana, nor Vastavika Jnana, or the actual understanding of that. An example usually given is the horn of a rabbit. we don't, really habits don't have harm. So they give an example for this vikalpa. And the next one is the fourth state is the nidra state. That is a state that is different from our dream and wake state. That is the state that the thought processes can get into. And the last one is the smriti. Smriti is our memory. That is a record of our experiences. So these are the 5 types of vrittis that actually get generated or happen within our chitta, okay, within our chitta. So basically, the chitta vritti nirodha is the first postulate that actually goes deep into it, and then these are the different types of, there are different types of chitta. There are 5 types of chitta, and each chitta can have so many different vrittis that different types of vrittis that I just explained. So that is chitta vritti, and the yoga, the purpose of the main aim of yoga is to develop habits of controlling these different thought processes or the vrittis, and finally arrive at a state where it becomes pure, and we will be able to understand the microcosm nature of the self, and also to clearly understand that this microcosm is nothing but part of the macrocosm. All right. So now I'll finish up. Then the another important aspect of the sadhana part is it defines the Ashtanga yoga, how to practice this mind control. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Shravana means Manana, to think about it. Nididhyasana is to concentrate our mind on one subject or topic. In this case, it's Paramatma. And Sharira, Indriya, Manas. So then through this Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, then we will actually attain the purity of Sharira, Indriya, and Manas. Sharira, our body. Indriya means our organs, and Manas is our mind. Purity. And then to do this, yoga philosophy recommends the Ashtanga yoga. And then I'll quickly go through this. Ashtanga yoga is 8 part: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So we already know the what these things are. So I'm going to skip this section and then go to the final part of yoga. That is, once we practice this, and once we master the sadhana, the methods and the procedures that are given in this yoga philosophy, then we actually get Ashtasiddhis. And those Ashtasiddhis are Anima, Lagima, Mahima, Prapti, Prakamya, Vashitva, Ishatva, and Yatha Kama Yatha Kama Yatha Kama Vasayita. That means what we can do, whatever we want. Yatha Kama Vasayita. That is these are the 8 siddhis that we develop once we practice all these yoga things. Now, these 8 siddhis have to be used only for attaining the purity of mind, so that we can attain the moksha. But if it is misused, then of course there are repercussions, and then we will not be able to achieve the goal as outlined in this yoga philosophy. So the final highlights of yoga, just within 2 minutes, I'll finish this. Yoga accepts all the postulates that are outlined in the Sankhya Yoga, and it also accepts Ishvara. That is, and initially only Ishvara is only from a transactional standpoint, but yoga goes much ahead and establishes that Ishvara is the Paramatma. Okay, Ishvara is the Paramatma, and Ishvara Pranidhana is needed, and Ishvara is above Klesha, Karma, and Karmapala, and Ashaya, that is the desire. And Ishvara is Nitya, is a Sarvakata, Sarvajna, and Sarvashakta. So he is Paramatma. Yoga establishes Ishvara as the Paramatma. In the initial stages, it's accepted as Ishvara is only from a transactional perspective. He only to develop bhakti and to concentration, and to develop the concentration of the mind. But it goes ahead and establishes Ishvara as the Paramatma, and that is one of the biggest contributions of the yoga philosophy. Okay, and then at towards the end, it is basically once we accept the Ishvara Tattva, that means Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana means Ishvara is Lord. And then once we do that, then all the procedures and the processes that are explained in all these 4 padas, and their single pointed goal is to achieve the knowledge of this Ishvara and to come to the understanding that we are nothing but that Ishvara himself. So that is the ultimate goal of this yoga. And yoga establishes that. As an individual, we are Jivatman, and Paramatman is Ishvara, and then the union that we achieve through the practice and adaptation of all the processes and procedures explained in this yoga philosophy will help us achieve that moksha. That is one with the universal consciousness, the union of the individual consciousness with the universal consciousness. So and we do that through first of all, the yoga establishes the Ishvara Tattva, and then we submit our Sharanagati to Ishvara being the Paramatma. Through all this, to understand Ishvara, we will understand the concept of Ishvara, and then we also will come to know that we are one with Ishvara, and thereby we will be submitting ourselves to Ishvara. Okay, and this by far is one of the, and then the yoga philosophy is accepted by all other astikas, nastika, and all the different types of categories that we have, because it transcends all different philosophies, because it is a sadhana shastra. It actually demonstrates, it explains the processes and procedures to be used to practice the attainment of moksha, which is the ultimate goal of humankind. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you.